This is the Week in Sustainability from Sustain.Life. It's where our team of sustainability experts and practitioners share commentary to keep you up to date on developing stories and news.
Hello, and welcome back to another Week in Sustainability. This is Alyssa Ray, Chief Sustainability Officer of Sustain.Life. So, this week in the news, we have two stories that are really anchored on corporate reporting and one key buzzword, interoperability. So, we're going to talk today about how the sustainability reporting landscape, as it continues to evolve at this incredibly rapid pace, is really working to still consolidate and harmonize across different reporting frameworks, despite their sometimes seemingly very different approaches. So, I'm going to highlight two important releases this week. One, a joint release of the ESRS and ISSB standards on interoperability guidance. And then also the 2024 release of CDP's reporting questionnaire and its alignment with most relevant reporting frameworks. So let's get started with ESRS and the ISSB. Reminder for those of you that are new to the never ending alphabet soup of ESG reporting on what these acronyms actually stand for. So let's anchor there first. ESRS is the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, and that's a series of reporting guidelines that were developed by EFRAG, the European Financial Reporting Advisory Group, that essentially outline the disclosure requirements for companies that are covered by the EU's CSRD, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. So, whereas CSRD is the law that mandates disclosure of sustainability information impacting almost 50,000 companies worldwide that meet pretty modest size and revenue requirements, the ESRS is the actual standard that dictates exactly what and how they must disclose. CSRD, it's important to note, represents the EU's policy approach in actually legislating an acceleration towards a net zero future and economy. What makes this disclosure unique is its foundation on double materiality, meaning that companies can only exclude information on the 10 environmental, social, and governance related topics covered by the ESRS standard, following what's called a double materiality assessment that demonstrates no meaningful impact from the financial or impact perspective. Now, that's a fundamentally opposite approach to how materiality is covered by the ISSB IFRS standards, which require disclosure for financially material information, leaving that impact piece completely out of it or optional. So let's talk about that. What is the ISSB IFRS? We're now in our second set of acronyms. ISSB is the International Sustainability Standards Board, which formed in 2021 at COP26 to develop standards for high quality, comprehensive global baseline of sustainability disclosures that were really meeting the needs of investors and financial markets. So the initial standards for general sustainability, S1, and climate disclosures, S2, were released last year. Now, I want to note here the distinction on audience and goals. So, the IFRS standards guide companies to disclose information that is financially material to investors and market participants so that they can make better and more fully informed decisions on capital allocation. They're not concerned with how the corporate entity is impacting those ESG topics, only how those topics impact the company's financial performance. So I also want to note that whereas ESRS reporting is mandated through that EU CSRD law, the IFRS standards are voluntary, with the expectation that global jurisdictions will adopt them into their own law and align across that global baseline of reporting mandates. So, what's the big deal with the newly released interoperability guidance? The big deal is that companies often disclose against both of these standards for different stakeholders and for different goals. And that makes reporting efforts duplicative, decentralized, and quite frankly, confusing and time consuming. So, the aim of this guidance is to reduce complexity, reduce that fragmentation and duplication for companies that are adhering across both sets of standards by providing alignment across key terms, definitions, and then the underlying reporting requirements. It enables companies to streamline their reporting process and effectively manage decision useful information, which at the end of the day is the point here, right? Reporting for reporting's sake is not efficient or effective. This is about having a streamlined process so that corporate entities and actors can focus on actual programs and implementation and progress and not get so burdened in reporting requirements. And so for all of you corporate reporters and ESG leads, this is what you've been waiting for, right? This is clear guidance on how to efficiently and effectively disclose against both standards simultaneously, with clear guidance on where they intersect and where they don't, and you need to take opposite approaches. And while this interoperability guidance is crucial for holistic reporting, I have to mention, don't forget that Sustain.Life's platform harmonizes across reporting standards and frameworks automatically so that you don't have to. All right, so that's story number one. Let's shift to our third acronym of the day. Let's move on to our next series of CDP, which has officially released its 2024 reporting questionnaire with a focus on framework alignment across IFRS, TCFD, TNFD, ESRS, and SEC. And if that's not enough acronym alphabet letter soup for you, I don't know what is. So, reminder to all on some of the really big changes that we're seeing this year for this year's CDP reporting effort. Primarily, they have combined the three themed questionnaires of climate, water, and forests into a single integrated questionnaire. And they're also offering a new online reporting platform, plus this additional alignment across standards and frameworks. So let's dig into where CDP aligns with each of those acronyms that we just went over. So CDP has aligned its climate change questionnaire with the 4 pillars of the TCFD since 2018. And it's now adding full alignment with that ISSB IFRS S2 climate change standard, which, reminder, formally incorporated the TCFD this year. TCFD has officially disbanded. It is fully incorporated into ISSB IFRS S2. So that's your new acronym to remember. Beyond this alignment, this year's questionnaire will provide guidance to reporters on their path to IFRS S2 full compliance. CDP has also announced its intention to align with TNFD, that's the Task Force on Nature-Related Financial Disclosure. And they made that announcement back in Q3 of 2023 so that investors and policymakers and purchasers could have access to nature-related information in a consistent and comparable standardized format, similar to how they do in their climate change questionnaire. So as of today, that alignment remains partial. It's mostly focused on where TNFD is parallel and aligned with the TCFD, off of which it's rooted. So CDP has committed to expanding coverage across all key environmental issues, and reporters should expect full coverage of the TNFD in future years. Okay, so shifting from voluntary reporting frameworks, which is what we've been talking about, over to the mandated side, CDP is also working towards alignment with both the US SEC's climate disclosure rule as well as the EU's ESRS that we spoke about earlier. So while reporters won't see this alignment in the 2024 questionnaire, expect partial and full coverage in forthcoming years. And for any entity looking for technology solutions to support their CDP disclosures, I will also mention that Sustain.Life is an accredited solution provider and one of the few technology providers that is automating this disclosure through CDP's newly launched and newly announced API for the 2024 reporting cycle. So please reach out to us for more information. If it wasn't clear enough through this week's episode, reporting season is upon us. So while the standards and the frameworks continue to develop, companies should look to their trusted providers to help navigate this rapidly evolving but yet harmonizing landscape. That's all that we have for you this week. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week for another week in sustainability.
Sustain.Life is the leading and most comprehensive sustainability software on the market. To learn how we can help your company measure its emissions and take climate action, go to Sustain.Life. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this show on our YouTube channel or your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.